None a world that rewards noise. The truly powerful move quietly. They don't announce every step. They don't seek validation. They protect their inner fire like a warrior protects his weapon. If you want to rise above distraction, weakness and manipulation, you must learn this truth. Not everything deserves to be spoken. 6 things you should never tell anyone. Protect your power. 1. Your long-term goals. When you speak your goals too early, you trade energy for approval. Words give comfort, but comfort kills hunger. Let your goals stay unfinished in silence until they are forged into reality. Results speak louder than promises ever will. 2. Your next move. A warrior never reveals strategy before the strike. The moment others know your plan, they influence it, through doubt, opinion, or envy. Move in silence. Let surprise be your ally. 3. Your weakest moments. Vulnerability is sacred, not public. Shared with the wrong ears, it becomes a weapon used against you. Learn the difference between healing and exposing. Strength grows in controlled environments, not open arenas.
Your personal struggles.
Complaining drains power. Repeating pain makes it permanent. Instead of explaining your struggle, endure it, train through it, and rise above it. Discipline transforms suffering into wisdom. 5. Your good deeds. True virtue needs no audience. When you announce your kindness, it becomes ego. When you act in silence, it becomes character. Let your actions be felt, not advertised. 6. Your full potential. Never tell anyone how powerful you can become, not even yourself. Potential is limitless, and the moment you define it, you cage it. Stay humble, stay hungry, always assume there is more work to be done. Power is not loud. Confidence is not attention-seeking. Strength is built in silence, repetition, and restraint. Now is the moment. Guard your words, sharpen your discipline. Walk your path without seeking permission or applause. Move silently. Train. Advertised. 6. Your full potential. Never tell anyone how powerful you can become, not even yourself. Potential is limitless, and the moment you define it, you cage it. Stay humble, stay hungry. Always assume there is more work to be done. Power is not loud. Confidence is not attention-seeking. Strength is built in silence, repetition, and restraint. Now is the moment. Guard your words, sharpen your discipline. Walk your path without seeking permission or applause. Move silently. Train. When you speak your long-term goals out loud, something subtle but dangerous happens. The mind begins to relax as if the work has already been done. Words create a false sense of progress. You feel accomplished simply because you declared an intention, and that feeling steals the hunger required to endure years of discipline. Silence, on the other hand, keeps the fire alive. It creates pressure. It forces you to show up every day because nothing has been proven yet. When no one knows where you are going, you owe explanations to no one, and all your energy stays focused on execution. Sharing goals also opens the door to interference. Even well-meaning people project their fears onto your vision. They measure your future with their limitations, their failures, their comfort zones. A single comment can plant doubt, and doubt is expensive. It slows reaction time. It weakens resolve. It makes you negotiate with yourself when you should be moving forward without hesitation. Silence protects clarity. When the goal remains internal, it stays pure, untouched by opinions, comparison, or external validation. There is also the danger of seeking approval instead of growth. When goals are announced, the ego becomes involved. You start performing for praise rather than training for mastery. You begin to care more about how the journey looks than what it requires. True progress is often ugly, repetitive, and lonely. It does not impress people in conversation. It demands sacrifice that no audience would applaud. Keeping goals private allows you to embrace that process without needing to justify it. Another reason to guard your long-term goals is adaptability. The path to mastery is never straight. You must be willing to adjust, pivot, and sometimes abandon an approach without feeling like you failed publicly. When goals are announced, changing direction feels like weakness. Silence gives you freedom. Freedom to learn, freedom to evolve, freedom to refine the mission as you gain experience and awareness. There is strength in being underestimated. When people do not know your destination, they do not prepare for your arrival. Expectations stay low, pressure stays minimal. You can train without distraction, build without resistance, and grow without being watched. Then one day, the result appears, and it speaks with authority. No explanation is needed, no defense is required. Reality becomes your statement. Keeping long-term goals to yourself is not about fear or secrecy for its own sake. It is about respecting the process. It is about understanding that creation requires containment. Just as a seed grows underground before it breaks the surface, your goals need darkness, patience, and protection. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is incubation. Revealing your next move weakens its impact before it even begins. The moment a plan is spoken, it becomes exposed. Energy leaks through explanation, justification, and anticipation. What should be sharp and decisive turns dull through overthinking. Silence keeps intention concentrated. When a move is held internally, it matures without pressure, without interruption, and without the need to perform for anyone else's expectations. Every environment contains observers, and not all of them wish you well. Some act out of envy, others out of insecurity, and many without even realizing it. When you announce your next move, you invite resistance before progress has started. Opinions appear, questions arise, doubts are introduced. Even support can become a distraction, pulling your focus away from execution and toward reassurance. Strategy demands solitude, precision requires privacy. There is also the danger of premature commitment. Speaking a move aloud locks the mind into defending it, even when conditions change. Adaptability is the foundation of intelligent action. A silent plan can evolve, a spoken plan must be justified. When you keep your next move to yourself, you allow
a space for observation, correction, and refinement.
You are no longer attached to being right, only to being effective. Silence also protects timing. Many opportunities are lost, not because of lack of skill, but because of poor timing. When others know what you intend to do, they adjust their behavior, intentionally or not. Doors close, competition prepares, resistance hardens. Moving quietly preserves the element of surprise. Surprise disrupts, surprise creates advantage. Those who act without announcement control the tempo, and tempo often determines victory. Your weakest moments carry raw, unrefined energy. They are not meant for display. When you expose them without discernment, you surrender control over how they are interpreted, remembered, and used. Not everyone has the capacity to hold your pain with respect. Some people store it, some people repeat it, some people weaponize it when the moment benefits them. What was once a moment of honesty becomes a permanent label, placed on you by others. There is a difference between processing pain and broadcasting it. Healing requires depth, not attention. When vulnerability is shared in the wrong space, it does not bring relief, it brings dependency. You begin to rely on external comfort instead of building internal strength. The mind seeks sympathy instead of solutions. Over time, this erodes resilience. Strength is not built by avoiding weakness, but by facing it privately and training through it until it no longer controls your behavior. Weak moments are temporary, but words are remembered. Once spoken, they cannot be retrieved. People may forgive, but they rarely forget. In moments of conflict or competition, past admissions resurface. Doubt you once expressed becomes doubt assigned to you. Fear you once revealed becomes a limitation others assume you still carry. Silence prevents your past from defining your present. There is also the risk of identity attachment. When you repeatedly speak about your lowest moments, you reinforce them in your own mind. Language shapes perception. The more you describe yourself as broken, lost, or struggling, the more the nervous system accepts that state as normal. Growth demands a shift in identity, and that shift requires restraint in speech. You must leave room to become someone new without dragging old versions of yourself into every conversation. Selective vulnerability is wisdom. There are rare individuals who have earned the right to hear your truth because they offer guidance, not judgment. But opening up without discernment is not courage, it is exposure. A warrior chooses when to remove armor, and only in safe territory. Constant openness leaves you unprotected in environments that reward dominance, not sensitivity. Facing weakness internally develops mastery. When no audience is present, you are forced to confront discomfort honestly. There is no performance, no exaggeration, no minimization, just awareness and discipline. This is where transformation occurs. Pain becomes information. Failure becomes instruction. Fear becomes something to observe rather than obey. Keeping your weakest moments private does not mean denying them, it means respecting their power. They are lessons, not stories for entertainment. When integrated silently, they become strength. When shared carelessly, they remain wounds. Personal struggles are heavy because they demand responsibility. The moment you speak them carelessly, they begin to lose their transformative purpose. Struggle is meant to shape you, not to be rehearsed in conversation. When difficulties are repeatedly verbalized, the mind shifts from endurance to expression. Instead of asking what must be done, it asks who will listen. This shift weakens resolve and replaces action with temporary relief. Complaining creates a loop. Each time you describe your struggle, you relive it. The nervous system does not distinguish between present danger and remembered pain. By repeating the story, you train your body to stay in a state of tension and helplessness. Silence interrupts that loop. It forces you to confront the situation directly, without emotional discharge. In that stillness, clarity emerges. Solutions become visible only when noise is reduced. Sharing personal struggles also invites comparison. Others may minimize your experience or exaggerate their own. Neither response serves growth. Being told that others have it worse breeds guilt. Being
told that others have it worse breeds guilt.
Being told you are justified in suffering breeds stagnation. Both outcomes distract from responsibility. Silence keeps the focus where it belongs, on what can be controlled and improved. There is also a hidden cost in seeking understanding from the wrong people. Not everyone is equipped to guide you through difficulty. Some respond with advice that reflects their fears, not your potential. Others strengthening the person. True growth often requires comfort, not reassurance. Struggle builds character through resistance. Muscles grow by being challenged, not by being described. The same principle applies to the mind. When you endure without announcement, you develop patience, composure, and emotional control. These qualities cannot be taught through words alone. They are forged through silent persistence. Those who survive hardship quietly carry a different presence. They move with calm intensity, shaped by battles no one saw. There is dignity in restraint. Keeping personal struggles private protects your self-image. When you repeatedly define yourself through difficulty, you unconsciously limit your future. You begin to see life through the lens of hardship instead of opportunity. Silence allows you to step beyond the struggle without dragging its identity forward. You are no longer the person who is suffering, you are the person who is training. Privacy also prevents exploitation. In competitive environments, vulnerability can be used strategically against you. Struggles reveal pressure points. When exposed, they invite manipulation. Silence closes that door. It keeps your foundation stable while you reinforce it from within. Struggle is not a burden to be shared indiscriminately. It is a discipline to be endured with intention. Within it lies refinement, awareness, and strength that only emerges when the process is respected and contained. Good deeds lose their purity the moment they are announced. When kindness is spoken about, it shifts from service to self-image. The action may still help someone, but the intention becomes divided. Part of the mind now seeks recognition, validation, or moral superiority. This subtle shift weakens character. True virtue is not measured by how visible an act is, but by how little it needs to be seen. When good deeds are shared, comparison enters. Others begin to measure, judge, or compete. Kindness turns into performance. Acts of service become currency for approval. This creates attachment to outcome rather than commitment to principle. A person who depends on praise will hesitate to act when no one is watching. A person who acts in silence remains consistent regardless of audience. Announcing good deeds also builds an identity that becomes fragile. When you start seeing yourself as the good one, the ego defends that image. You may avoid necessary but uncomfortable actions that could damage how others perceive you. You may hesitate to set boundaries, speak hard truths, or make disciplined decisions because they conflict with the image you have publicly constructed. Silence preserves freedom. It allows you to act according to what is right, not what looks good. There is also the danger of external motivation replacing internal discipline. When recognition becomes expected, the absence of it feels like rejection. The act no longer nourishes the soul. It demands reward. Over time, this creates exhaustion and resentment. You begin to feel unappreciated instead of fulfilled. Silent service protects the inner reward. The satisfaction comes from alignment with values, not from reaction. Good deeds done quietly develop humility. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking less about yourself. When you remove the need to be seen, attention shifts outward. You become more present, more observant, more effective. The action becomes precise and sincere. There is no rush to finish or announce. There is patience in execution. Silence also strengthens trust. People can sense when kindness is real. They feel it in consistency, not in storytelling. When actions are not advertised, they carry weight. They create a reputation that is organic, not engineered. This kind of trust cannot be demanded or explained. It accumulates over time through repeated, unseen effort. There is power in anonymity. Acting without credit trains detachment. You learn to give without controlling the narrative. You accept that impact matters more than acknowledgement. This detachment strengthens emotional independence. You are no longer influenced by applause or criticism. Your behavior becomes stable, grounded, and intentional. Keeping good deeds private is not about hiding, it is about protecting the integrity of the act. When kindness is allowed to exist without commentary, it remains clean, focused, and transformative, both for the receiver and the one who gives. Your full potential is not a fixed destination. It is an evolving force. The moment you speak it aloud, you begin to define it, and definition creates limits. When you tell others what you believe you are capable of, you unknowingly place a ceiling on your growth. Words turn possibility into expectation, and expectation becomes a cage. Silence keeps the horizon open. It allows you to exceed even your own imagination without being bound by past declarations. Speaking about potential invites comparison. Others will measure you against their standards, timelines, and experiences. Some will doubt you, others will praise you, but both reactions distort focus. Doubt pressures you to prove yourself. Praise tempts you to protect an image. In both cases, attention shifts from development to perception. True growth requires immersion, not observation. Silence protects the depth of your training. There is also danger in identifying too strongly with potential rather than practice. Potential is comforting. It allows you to feel special without effort. When spoken often, it becomes a substitute for discipline. You start to believe that talent alone will carry you forward, but potential untrained is fragile. It collapses under pressure. Keeping it unspoken keeps you grounded in action rather than identity. Announcing potential can also create fear of failure. Once others know what you claim you can become, mistakes feel heavier. Every setback feels public, even when it is not. This pressure restricts experimentation. You become cautious, safe, predictable. Silence removes that weight. It gives you permission to fail privately, to explore, to rebuild without shame. There is strength in humility, not the kind that denies ability, but the kind that assumes there is always more to learn. When you keep your potential to yourself, you remain a student. You stay curious, observant, and disciplined. You do not rush to be recognized. You focus on becoming capable. Capability lasts longer than recognition. Silence also keeps you underestimated. When others do not know your depth, they do not prepare for your growth. Expectations remain low, pressure remains light. You gain time to sharpen skills, strengthen weaknesses, and refine awareness without interference. When progress finally becomes visible, it carries authority because it was earned in obscurity. Potential is energy. Like all energy, it must be contained to be directed. Leaked through conversation, it disperses. Guarded through silence, it concentrates.